Right, let's get back. Aditi probably would have talked like that, but I'm sure she's going to join us back pretty soon. I'm going to start with Karan. Karan, there was a very old song in our days. You know, it was called "We Don't Need No Education. We Don't Need No Thought Control." What do you think about education and real life?
Thank you for the question. Education, the moment you say the word, the first thing which stuck to my, which comes to my head, which comes to my mind is schooling, right? Everything was really interesting about schooling, besides the homework part. I think everybody agrees with me out here.
I'm
So,
sure they do.
you're right. So it is meant to be the building block in one person's life. What I am today, a major part of it is a result of how I have interpreted things, how I have reasoned the education provided and imparted to me in the school. So the basic structure and the personality of a person is framed from and by the school. A very important thing for a student is to understand what is discipline. And I think in the very early stages of a person's life, a student's life, the school is responsible for actually teaching what the word discipline means.
Okay, that's a very interesting take on that. I'll go to Hamdan on this. Hamdan, what do you think about education outside India in a nutshell?
I think education outside India is the real education that we should be looking at. And I beg to differ with my colleague here, Karan, who says school has a very important role. I cannot remember what I was taught in school currently, because what I am right now is because of my experiences in life in both my college and my further education abroad. Because in India at school, what they teach you is just the basics, which do not prepare us for the after stage in life. In school we just allowed to read and learn and write it out in the exams, and we score well, we get into the college. That is how school has limited us in India. But however, you go abroad, you're given choices of whichever subjects you want to study. Here everything is limited to humanities, commerce, science. For example, for my O levels, I went to London at Mandaportman Woodward College. So, I was very surprised I could take geography along with maths and also history and choose chemistry with that too. So, if you're looking forward for a career in different fields, the education system in India limits us in that perspective. And
Okay,
if we look at,
I'm gonna break in with you right there, just at that particular
okay,
point in time. When you say that education system in India limits us in that perspective,
right.
what would be our contribution in trying to change that?
Well, I think the change has already begun. If we see currently on 29th of July, the new education policy was passed, in which they're introducing this new system in which students will get also like an exit option in colleges right now. For example, after my first year, I was looking forward to take a transfer to London, but I could not. I had to end my studies here and start afresh. But now what they're doing is we're getting exit options. After a year, you get a certificate. After 2 years of college, you get a diploma. After 3 years, you get your degree. And now they're introducing that we'll not have streams like commerce, science, and humanities. People can, change between streams and choose whatever subject they would like to study. So I think after 34 years, India has taken a great step to change and revolve how education system is.
This also happened because of people like you, all right, who continuously told the system that this is not the right thing. I'm going to go back to Karan before I get on to Anya for our first opening comments of the evening. Karan, interesting perspective from Hamdan. He says that unless you get out of India, you don't get to see the real education, all right? But let me preempt you there. You can only get out of India when you've actually completed school in India and they make you fit for going abroad. For example, if you were accepted by London School of Economics, it's because of your education in India. All right, Karan, I'll take you up on that.
Yes, thank you so much, Hamdan, and thank you so much, Mr. Datta. I do agree with you, Hamdan, but what I meant to say is India is still on the path of becoming a developed country, and definitely the education system out here by mean I say in an undeveloped country or developing country will definitely differ from a country which is developed. And my take on this topic is that schools in India don't really prep you up for your college life or for your after college, after you've graduated. My main reason for this, for having and holding such a view, is that school does not inject curiosity building in a student per se. In a school, there are limited access provided, access towards books, as in they've just sorted out a syllabus and they give us books. They give us what, one or two books per subject, and we need to build our inferences and we need to interpret the meaning of that subject just by way of those books. College wants you to be an all-rounder. The moment you enter a college, they provide you with a topic and they expect you to know each and everything about that topic. So here is where a person is exposed to a fact where he is confused that, okay, fine, I need to be educated, I need to be knowledgeable on a particular topic. And how do I do that? Why? Because my school has just taught me to read one book and then get over the topic and then understand.
So essentially what you're trying to say is that at school, the existence of a syllabus can sometimes be a very limiting factor. Is that what you're trying to say?
Correct. Very true.
Or are you trying to say, that the existence of a syllabus is just fine, but you should be allowed to, be able to complete that syllabus from your own perspective, because the syllabus has a perspective, unless of course things are definitive, like mathematics, like physics, like chemistry, and so on and so forth. Is that what you're trying to say?
Correct. That a student should be flexible to choose which book he wants to refer to, and not be only limited and creating a barrier that, okay, I just have to read NCERT books per se. So that being one of my points.
Okay. So on that particular note, as you said, that we have to read NCERT books, we can also read McGraw-Hill maybe.
Correct.
We can go to Frank Publishers and stuff like that. Okay. Anya, here's my question to you. As somebody who, in your own words, have told me, before this particular show, that you didn't do too well in school, excepting for specific subjects which were very close to your heart. But at the same time, in your first 40 days in college, virtually, have you been to college? 40 days in college, right? It's been a life-changing experience.
About 40.
All right. Can you lead us through, in a very brief, method and manner, what is the difference from school in a college?
So I started college about 40 days ago. Before that, I was an individual who self-proclaimed student of the humanities. I wasn't very good at the sciences ever up till the 10th grade. I wasn't a student in mathematics in 11 and 12 as well. I walk into college, virtually of course, and the first thing I'm told by my advisors and counselors is, why am I restricting myself? I could be studying the neurosciences, I could be studying physics, I could be studying astrophysics. Now for someone who in school was told...
Hold on. So you're trying to tell us that from a humanities per se student in school, where you read humanities as some subjects which involved sociology maybe?
Yes, sociology.
All right,
yes.
Sociology. What's been your focus at school? Sociology or something else?
So primarily I studied sociology, psychology, history, romantic literature, English literature, and Hindi.
Okay.
So as humanities as it can get.
4 subjects which pertain to philosophy. Some philosophy or the other.
Some philosophy.
From there, you're saying that when you went to college, somebody said you could study neurosciences, which is probably a diametrical shift from whatever you've done.
Absolutely.
How did you cope up with that?
So the thing that struck me most about this system of education and the formatting of education in the United States, where I'm currently heading to, is the way they teach. They know the syllabus is extremely daunting. They know the syllabus is vast. They also know that students are here to learn. A massive drawback I faced throughout my education, throughout my school life, from maybe class 6 to class 12, was the fact that teachers expect you to be at a standard. And when you don't match up to a standard, you're immediately compared and contrasted with your peers on the same level. And for some of us who did not manage to excel despite that constant comparison, we were put down in class. Now, when
Hang
you
on,
go
hang
to
on,
your,
hang on, hang on. Let me stop you right there. Hamdan, do you share this particular viewpoint?
Well,
Hamdan,
I have a few points to add to. Yeah, yeah. Can you guys hear me?
yeah, you're coming a little bloated, but otherwise
Hello.
fine. Hello.
So the points that I had to share was one my colleague mentioned about curiosity. Here in the education system, we're limited by books, as we were talking about books. And you know, in the UK or in the United States, they do not use books. Students have to do their own research, and you know, this gives you a deeper sense into knowledge of whatever subject you are studying into. We never had exams in London. We were only given assignments, and you know, they were open. Everybody's assignments were very different because they were researching into different libraries. I researched the LSE library, plus we were allowed to go to other libraries. And you know, the resources are vast in terms of which you can, you know, gather information. So how much you learn is dependent on you and not on the teacher. They do not refer to one textbook. Second point is, I think India is also working towards that. India has changed our syllabus. So if we read the new the system change that has come up, they have reduced the syllabus and made it more practical based. Just how we're looking forward into it. The only
No,
limitation I feel is,
but that, one moment. You know, reducing the syllabus is just happened. You know, it's like an income tax act in India. You know, it is
yeah,
passed on the first week of February or the last week of February. It goes to Parliament in the first week of April. Then there will be 100 different discussions from 100 different perspectives. By the time it gets down to, you know, brass tacks and ground zero, it's about 5 years or maybe 2 years. Or if it's something which really saves a lot of people taxes, it's about 3 months, something like that.
I agree with you. It's technically just a bill right now.
For the current thing to actually take shape, the current education policy, and mind you, and I kid you not, but I am a great, you know, proponent of the fact that education should be like trying to float. You know, you don't teach a guy how to swim. You teach a guy how to float. If he floats, the next natural progression of a human being after that is trying to swim. Go from point A to point B on the water. First of all, you got to float. After you float, you have to swim to get across from point A to point B. So Hamdan, I'm all with you on that, right? But what I'm trying to say is, don't you think, and let me be the devil's advocate here, don't you think that we should start off by telling people that there is actually no books at school also, but recommended reading? Do you think that is going to be something which is feasible?
I
I'll put the
think
question to Hamdan and then take it across to Karan.
I think I agree with you, and that is what I was going to refer to. The only limitation is I am not sure how early we can achieve that, because we're predicting we may take 10 years to achieve what we're predicting it right now. And to add on that, we were given only suggestive reading list, as just what you mentioned right now, that these are the materials that we suggest you look at, but not limited to that. You can do your own research as well. So, you know, it was very, I would say, a learning experience for us to not just look at these like suggested readings, but also look further and well. So we were marked according to who would go beyond these suggestive reading and you know, explore more and learn more about that particular subject. That is what I will say to that.
Yeah, but getting back to my question, as I said, so you still are not very sure from what age or from what level should a school say, all right, here you go, here is suggestive reading to you, all right, we're going to check you on the following parameters, okay, and if we believe that these things get across, you know, the way it is supposed to get across, then you get on to the next standard or the level, or which is so figuratively called in India, the next class. Okay, though I find it very hard to believe, you know, the difference between class 2 and 3 and class 9 and 10 or 11 and 12. They're all the same thing, same people to me, right? Or somebody who's got, let's say, 97.99% and 99.35%. Okay. You know, one of the things I'm constantly sort of amused is when I see universities which say my cutoff is 99.3%, and yet they have some 99,000 people who, you know, applying for that particular place. How do you think school can prepare, or the schools in India can make a major uh, delivery model, all right, to be able to cut that out? Do we really need to look at a student from 99.33%, or is that a problem of a populous country? Karan, I'll give it to you before we get across to Anya and then round it off.
Absolutely. Very,
I
very
think that's a
interesting.
problem of
Yeah, go ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
Yes, go ahead.
Go ahead, Hamdan, I'm listening.
I was saying that that can only happen if we follow this education system that they do abroad. Here, what the problem I feel is students are very much pressurized with the double of exams on their head. So they have to study well, score well, so then you know you do good in exams, you do get into a better college. The way you change it, you make studies more interesting. Once it is more
So I am
interesting,
going, no,
students
no, no,
will
no. You are going to
automatically
college.
score better.
No, 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 hang on. You are going to college. I'm still stuck in the school. India,
No, I'm talking about school.
if I get
When
into
you
the
make
ICSE system, all right, has got about 21,000 schools of the ICSE system, all right? I don't know how many
right,
there are in the CBSE, okay? But today, when you look at a joint entrance examination, which is post class 12, okay, which is the A levels in the UK, okay, you have 600,000 students sitting for 10,000 seats, typically, okay? The total volume of students in the first 200 universities in the United States of America is not more than 500,000. So when you're saying that if we adopt the education system of that particular country, can we really adopt that? Or should we adapt that for India? There's a
I
difference,
think
you
we
know?
should adapt that. Yeah,
Yeah.
we should adapt that for India. So exams
Yes,
are
Karan.
basically
Yes, yeah. So there are two perspectives to look at it. Firstly, uh, the seats available after graduating school and going to, say, a college within India or even outside India, those are limited. Okay, we as students, we do not have any control over demanding those kind of seats.
So here's my
Secondly,
question in between before you go to the second
yes.
point. How does school prepare you for it? Does school
Correct.
prepare you for it at
Correct.
all?
Understanding the psychology of a student who is most probably tensed into how to prepare for my finals, how to prepare for my class 12, how to score well. I think school grades distort our perception of reality.
How?
School trains us to have the mindset that a given amount of effort, when applied, brings a measurable, a predictable, and a successful outcome. Whereas this is not a reality in life. This is just a thing which a school believes in or makes its students believe in. The real world does not work like that. Okay, so based on a set syllabus, based on a limited number of resources, the school is like, okay, fine, you read this book, you write the exact content on your answer sheets, and yes, you will score a percentile of say 95. Whereas this is not the logic which works and which is actually accepted by colleges after graduation.
Okay. Percentile. Let me pick up some words and throw it across to you guys. Percentile. Anya,
Yes.
percent and percentile. Which one would appeal to you most?
Percentile.
Percentile.
Because,
Explain to us
and
why.
I will elaborate why. You get a percentage to feel good about yourself and how you have performed on an expectation level. Let's be very honest. Getting 100 out of 100 is more compatible with you fulfilling an expectation level than actually getting the mark. Percentile actually puts you in ranking with your peers. How many of them have scored below you? How many of them have scored above you? How many of them are on the same level as you? Percentile ranking also does not sort of encapsulate one person. It's supposed 83 percentile. An average of 16, 17 people in a class of say 40, 50 have got an 83, 84 percentile. It shows you that you are on one end of the spectrum, yes, but you're also on an end of the spectrum where you're joined by many. So just because you have that does not necessarily mean you're the best of the many. So that is why the percentile system or the percentile method of ranking appeals the most to me.
Okay, we got that. Now, coming back to the fact that the marking system in schools, there's a stark discrepancy between what you get in your selections for the final year exams and what you get in the final exam. So for example, if you were looking at your pre-boards in class 10, if you get an 85%, you're like, this is kingdom come. But in your boards, you get about 99 to 95, 95 to 99% of the same subject. Karan, how do you reconcile this?
So there has been a new improvement just in order to remove the confusion and the state of anxiety which is caused because of the percentage system per se, because school will give you either a grade or it is going to give you a percentage. But when you have to, a student has to transcript that set percentage to the terms of what the college would require to. So to remove this confusion, the NEP, which is the National Education Policy 2020, has come up with a new system of accreditation. Okay, and it is set to govern and change standards, and the standard would be set to be default via schools and also via colleges.
Now, hang on. The longer the sentence of any policy, the shorter the lifespan of the policy. That is a very given in India. All right. So they could get on to the best language on that particular policy, but by the time they get around to implementing it, and this is government agnostic. Okay, we are a country run by bureaucrats who've been learning from other bureaucrats, who've in turn learned from other bureaucrats. I'm yet to see a bureaucrat. There are, of course, many of those people in the education sector, but I'm yet to see a guy who says, okay, you want to come into my college? Let me have a chat with you. You know, I went to school in 1977, right? Based on a conversation between my principal and my parents. But you, Karan, perhaps would not have gone to school that way.
Very true. I agree with your statement.
Anya would not have gone to school that way. I'm sure Hamdan would also have not gone to school. Hamdan anyway does not remember much about school. He was very specific in the
No,
right?
we went to school like that. My admission was based on my interview with my parents. So I belong to your.
There you are. So your admission was based on your parents. So how was school for you? Was it good, bad, or ugly?
I would not say it was good because for me, given I'm an introvert, school life was very difficult for me.
And given the gentleman that you are, it was definitely not ugly either. You're a gentleman. You would not say it was ugly. So you'd say it was not bad, but it could be better, right?
It could be better, definitely. Yeah.
There you are. How about I tell you that I'm giving you three particular words. Use them on your school experience. Okay? Great. Okay. Ghastly. Bad. Which one would be your word? I will not hold you against that. I'm just trying to figure out the degrees of acceptance.
Well, I'll go for bad because while comparing it with the college life I had both in India as well as abroad, I would say my school life compared to my peers was bad because, well, I would not really blame the school, but it could have played an important part in helping students who were weaker in, socializing and were introverts by nature. In school, we were told, if you're an introvert, you have to buckle up your socks. So, that just saying that sentence does not help. As teachers or peers or, mentors, you should help students in, telling them how they can overcome that feeling.
So school, very, very specifically according to you, and here we are agnostic as to which school it is, where as far as you are concerned, it's a school that you've been to, has not played a formative role in preparing you for college, is because you believe that you're an introvert. There are many introverts like that, and I know so many people in young chaps, young people who are introverts, and some are extraordinary extroverts, right? And yet they don't achieve the level of competence, the level of success that they are supposed to, right? Now, one thing is that we can easily blame the school. School was not great. If you ask me, I can't blame my school. My school, I am today because of what my school did to me. Okay? and I will continue to be what my school did to me. Okay, but that may not be the governing principle for everybody. What, in your particular opinion, would be, let's say, two cornerstone points, which a school has to address to make sure that a student is ready for the outside world, specifically for a college degree?
May I take that question?
All right, Karan, you can take it.
Sure,
Okay,
sure.
okay. I strongly feel that a school should definitely uh, impart personal growth training to all of its students, so
Define
that
personal
they,
growth.
personal growth training would constitute maybe classes or maybe a coaching session or regular coaching sessions where a student is headstrong or he becomes headstrong as to what course should he pursue for his future, or he gets to actually decide upon what he actually aspires for, what he could discover his passion, he could discover his interest, in which field does he want to go into. So this is one very big neglected portions which schools in India, they don't look up. They don't look up to. Secondly, I feel emotional intelligence training should even be imparted. I would name it gladly as your second counterpart as to what uh, schools in India don't pay focus up to. They just blindly ignore it. And if I may, and if only and I could be allowed to say the third point, it should be basic financial training, which is even mandatory for for a standard 12 student to know. So that would be my answer.
What do you do today, Karan?
I uh, I am a law graduate, and I have taken a very unconventional path and joined an MBA program. So technically, I'm still a student now.
All right. And what do you plan to do after the MBA program?
I plan to join the corporate legal sector.
What does an MBA has to do with that?
So having an MBA degree would enable me to have more gun power, firing power, to secure a better job in the market.
So if I were to sort of take it a little lightly, all right, without being very serious about it, and with no aspersions cast on you, the MBA is what you would consider to be the radar, all right, in your optics for a better career, given the fact that your basic competency lies in being a law graduate, right?
Correct.
When
Correct.
you were in class 5, did you think you would be a law graduate?
Not really. I don't think so. I had the competency to understand what actually law is and what actually I would want to pursue in future. So
At class 9, did you think about it?
definitely, yes, I was headstrong. I would definitely pursue
What
law.
was the difference between class 5 and class 9?
I was one of those students in my school who probably knew which course or which stream to approach to right after class 12s.
How did you know
And
that?
I understood that because I belong from a family of advocates. I belong from a family where, I've seen the working of law. I have seen what actually the work goes on. I have discussed law with people. So that is how it gave me a more clearer perspective to it.
Okay, so essentially what you're trying to say is that between class 5 and class 9, you decided that you would be a law graduate, and it's not a very difficult decision to make, is because uh, your hinterland, your immediate family hinterland was law, right? Let me put this
Correct.
question across to Hamdan. Hamdan, at class 5, what did you think you would be?
Well, all I wanted to do was business since I was very young, and I think I would say from the age of 5, the only thing I knew was business. I would make visits with my father and grandfather to our factories and all the workplaces, and that is what motivated me. The only thing lacking, I would say, was there's no way to teach business in India, which is why I took up this course, which is called innovation management and entrepreneurship, because there's no way to teach entrepreneurship in India, and I studied this to come back and join my ancestral
Well,
businesses.
now you would be very happy to know that there are quite a few pretty well-known management schools or business schools which teach something called how to manage a family office. which is essentially the money and the investments, the holdings and the businesses of a particular family, right? And how do a second generation or a third generation scion of that particular family can manage the businesses without, sort of putting it all over, okay? But at class 5, you were only into business. Today, are you also into business?
Yeah, I've become what I wanted to be. I am an entrepreneur with three, four ventures, different from my family business. So I have a gym of my own, a salon of my own, and a cafe of my own. And
A what?
a cafe.
A cafe.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're in the
So
food business and the wellness business.
health sector, you can say, health and wellness.
Wellness, all right. For health can be sometimes pretty much of a dampener, but wellness is like, the positive side of health, and we'll look at that.
Yeah.
Getting back to Anya, so at class 5, what did you think you'd be?
So class 5 was the first year we studied the Renaissance period in history, and that was something that captivated my attention 100%. So in class 5, the only thing I wanted to do was get a history degree. There's
You wanted to
nothing
get
more
a
I
history
wanted.
degree. All right.
Yeah, that's
What
my
did you
biggest
think
aim
about
in
in
class
class
5.
9?
When I was in class 9, I thought I would follow my passion at the time and become a pastry chef, and I wanted to go
Pastry
to
chef.
culinary school. And I
All
wanted to go
right.
to culinary school.
And what happened in class 12?
Class 11 and 12 is actually a very funny story, makes for a very funny story, because I studied the subject of psychology and found myself extremely drawn to it. In I was pretty much convinced that I would pursue a path around the likes of legal psychology, and it was only over the duration of the last 6 months that I really familiarized myself with the various workings of psychology, the various aspects of research I could get into if only I go barriers or any other barriers that I would have that placed by me. So currently, I am pretty excited by a field of psychology known as neuropsychology, which basically deals with how your responses on your emotions or how your emotional responses acts on your bodily system. So I would say that I've had a pretty interesting trajectory as far as what I want to become can be considered. But yes, currently I'm on the path to studying neuropsychology in the future.
Okay, so here we are, from a history graduate aspiration to a pastry chef, and then on to becoming, getting on to studying psychology. I mean, that's as different as it can be. I think it's more different than chalk and cheese. But essentially, my primary objective of getting across these slightly, elongated perspectives from the three of you is to basically make you understand one thing, not understand, perhaps communicate to you one thing. That at the end of the day, no matter what you do, the school can play only that part with you. What the school can essentially do, which I figure, is that it can help you across with a nudge, or it can sort of change a little direction for you to be able to, for you to go across in that particular direction with with an absolute focus in mind. But the school can't change you, because none of what you spoke, all the three of you, have been there because of what the school has done for you. The school was a platform. You were inside that platform. You pursued your own stuff. The school was either benign or little, or bona fide, but never malified, never malignant. Okay, but if we were to if we are to sort of get on to the next part of the discussion, which is the most interesting part of it, is that can the school play mentor to students between class 9 and class 12 and the formative years between kindergarten and class 3? I'll start off with Hamdan.
I think definitely yes, school can do that for us. And the way they can do that is, as mentors, they can assess which students need help. And to those students, schools can provide, personality development classes, public speaking classes, or maybe aptitude tests to, improve the student and make them competent enough with other children, which can help them for, preparing them to get into colleges. And in the later parts, they can do, career counseling. And it's not taken seriously. We say career counseling a lot in India. It's only when people are looking forward to go abroad, they go for career counseling. Before that, until unless you don't find people going for career counseling. It's just what parents shape you, you take up that stream, and that becomes your future career objective.
I have a question for you, Hamdan, at this point in time.
Yeah.
If I take 5 of the world's most successful people,
Right.
most successful people, by your definitions, by my definitions, and successful, I do not necessarily mean that they have got money. Okay. I would tend to see that most of them were never career counselors. 3 of them had miserable school lives. 1 of them did not even have a school life. But yet, they went on to become very successful people. So I'm going to differ with you on this one. I don't think that I can make a difference to your career by counseling you. I can make a difference to your thought pattern by sharing with you my perspective and then leaving it on to you whether you want to accept it or not. So for example, if I tell you today that the wellness business that you're in, right, is figuratively and a $620 billion industry across the world, but there aren't so many players. In India, there are hardly any players. I mentor a wellness startup in Gurgaon, which has a phenomenal revenue model, but they are struggling with implementation. I cannot tell them what to do. I can only tell them what others are doing. So career counseling, I think, is a very misplaced term.
Well, what I would say is, I agree with you on that, but by career counseling, I do not mean, they tell you what you have to do,
Okay.
but they give you a sense of direction that where you should be looking at. The choice is always
Do you
yours.
think we have adequate teachers like this in schools? People who are like that? People who are very focused on what they can deliver to a student?
No.
No.
That's what
So what I think is, let's step back another level. We should create teachers who just don't come to teach and give private tuition. We should create teachers who are in essence teachers, who teach, who impart. Not people who simply finish a syllabus. So it's not the students, it's not the school. I think it's the teachers who have to take on that onus upon themselves. Because you are telling me that, I am an introvert. If only my teacher had taught me how to be an extrovert, or at least how to be socially communicable, I would have fared much more and better in life. I would have been, far more happier in school. Isn't it? Isn't that what you're trying to tell me?
Yep, I think it narrows down to our teachers, who are not just our teachers, but mentors who shape our future. So it's not exactly the school, but teachers.
I like that term you just said, mentors who shape our future. You are so correct. And when you say that, I'm going to request Ruhail that we're going to make this conversation, this particular conversation, right, extend into a bigger debate with maybe 10 people, including the 3 of you, and another round where we can complete what we are doing today, because just once will not do. So I like what you say, mentors for the future. How many students consider their teachers mentors? Karan, I'll take you up on that.
Yes, definitely. Before I answer that question, I would actually like to add on a point where in your previous proposition, I feel that instead of a career counseling training, maybe more emphasis could be paid to providing general knowledge sessions or maybe current knowledge sessions.
Explain.
Yes. So when a student is getting ready to face his college life, or maybe in class 11 or class 12, when the student is actually thinking that which stream should I choose, which stream should I have interest on, or which should be my first step towards career building. So at that point of time, no matter whichever entrance a student appears for, be it be it in terms of law, be it in terms of economics, or be it in terms of engineering or medical. Be a very possible option which could be incorporated in the teaching schedules in the today's time. And also, I know that a lot of colleges, a lot of schools have this scenario going on, but then these are optionals, and this should not be made optional. It should be made mandatory.
Uh, we still have to address the fact that how do you have mentors as teachers in schools? Okay. Anya,
Correct. Yes.
did you have a mentor in school?
I had one mentor per se in school, but I had 10 teachers. So, what I would like to bring to the table here is school is a place where I strongly believe you can either make an individual or break an individual. And make or break, I mean in terms of your confidence. Sometimes you see in school, for mistakes, you're penalized. And I'm not talking about being penalized in classes 9, 10, 11. I'm talking about being penalized in classes 2, 3, 4. Does a student who doesn't have a textbook really deserve to be punished for an entire period of 40 minutes just because she had the guts or he had the guts to tell the teacher that, well, I'm sorry, but I don't have the required textbook? You don't need to break a student's confidence for their honesty. You don't need to, yes, you can reprimand them, you can probably write a note for them, you can ask them to write the same sentence 50 times, but is it necessary for you to make that individual stand in class, humiliate them in front of their peers, and then absolutely shatter their confidence and then expect them to move on as if nothing's happened? That's where I feel, and there are studies and psychological research papers that have shown that a child's confidence breaks down very early. To rebuild that confidence takes a lot of time, a lot of patience, and a lot of dedicated work from people like teachers and mentors. So
Did
yes,
you
the
have
bigger
people like
question.
in school who could help you, who could help build or rebuild a broken down kid, a broken down human, somebody who's been exposed to the ravages of school education by being told that you're not good enough, where the parameters of being good enough are not being good enough as a human being, but by getting 95% plus in your subject? Did you have a teacher like that?
In school, yes, I had one teacher who told us consistently that your your judge, your true judge lies in your character, and the you are essentially who you are is not determined by what you get inside a classroom, but what you accomplish outside of the classroom. So what I'm trying to tell you here is that I notice a lot of people in and around me as I step into college. They have some very valid points of discussion to bring to the table, but they aren't able to bring that with the same amount of confidence and certainty and belief in their own self because of incidents that put them down in school. So it happened to me as well. Personally, I have faced a lot of at times and years, I would say, where I was constantly brought down. The, my the journey of me coming out as a more confident individual only began in 11 and 12. A part of that began then, and I would say the major part of it came out at the start of class 12 and as I walked into college. So I would say yes.
Hold on a moment there. Hamdan, did you have an experience in school where you felt that you were broken down because of what you could not do, but you could have done if somebody showed you the right path?
Well, I agree what Anya said that this has happened with me in school. So my mentor teacher would tell me that I would make a good debater, but because my English teachers felt that I could not speak like in public, I was not good for going to the stage and for going for debating. So I think yes, that thing was hampered because we did not have all teachers as mentors. And as we initially narrowed it down, our schools are bona fide, but it's on the teachers to not just be limited to teachers but become our mentors. And what I am today, I would owe it to my teacher and mentor who was in my master's. when I joined my masters, I was the most quiet guy of the class. And when I left, I would, counter argue what my teacher would say. And, he would be super happy that the only person who had the answer to his questions was me. And that could happen only because he pushed me, he pushed my limits, and I became what I am today because of him.
What would you consider your springboard moment? When I say a
I think
springboard moment, you jumped off and just kept going. What was your springboard moment?
so. For me, I would say the springboard moment is, just earlier when you said, you cannot teach a man to swim, you throw him into a swimming pool and he learns how to swim. So I was thrown questions at in front of 20 people, then 200 people, and then among the whole university, I was the one to answer all the questions. So, when I was there and I had no other option and the pressure was on me and I had outperformed myself. So, you cannot teach a man how to swim until, he's thrown to a pool.
So that was your, if I were to say that, okay, instead of the springboard moment, that was your swim or sink moment. Am I correct?
Yeah. Yeah. That's
and you
correct.
chose to swim.
To rephrase it, until unless you put the person on a driving seat, he will not learn. If you just tell him, you have to drive like this and that, probably he'll not be able to, learn how to drive. Until unless you give him the driving seat, he might, the car will get damaged and, he'll meet an accident or something. But that's the only way the person will learn to drive. Give them the steering wheel.
Yeah, but we need to remember, we cannot give him a Mercedes. We have to give him a broken down car. Maybe a Jalopy or something like that, right? I'm sure you would agree with that with Niana, right?
Yeah, I would agree, agree with that.
That's very well put. But if I go to Karan, what's been your springboard moment in life?
Right. I would not define the moment as a springboard moment, but then right after I joined a law college, I was learning new things every day. So I was in a situation where I was learning more and more new things each day, every day, and that was providing me the required push to be motivated and to pursue, even to actually give my 100% effort. So that was one level of motivation which I had.
Did you have anything inside your mind which said my school was great is because it prepared me for this particular moment?
I have a contrast and a contrary view regarding it, because I felt that there could have been many things, there could have been many training sessions or maybe lecture sessions which could be offered by my school, and to be honest, which were being talked about and spoken about during that time. And unfortunately, we were not getting those facilities. So I would owe the decision of me choosing law and joining a law school to my own perception and my own thinking.
So what I'm trying to figure out, what I'm trying to gauge from what you're saying is that while school was definitely there in the background, your own perception about what you wanted to do in the world played a slightly more defining role. Is that what you're trying to say?
Yes.
Was
To be put precisely.
Was there any contribution in that from the school?
Let me go deeper and let me take a personal example. I used to attend things like a debating competition, or maybe a parliamentary debate, or an extempore, or just a minute. All these activities which one per se had to show your law school during the time of admission and during the time of an interview was not really provided to me by my school per se. But then I had to go for maybe other schools to join those competitions. So here is where I see a niche. So this is exactly and appropriately what I am speaking about.
Let me throw up a slightly controversial topic. Private tuitions.
Correct.
Most schools have teachers who swear by everything that they hold holy, right from their children to the national flag, that they don't give private tuitions. And the first thing that they do in the step out of school is to go to their private tuition class. How many of you have actually had private tuitions? And did it benefit you at all? I'm done.
Private tuitions, and if I say for maths specifically, I had 3 private tuitions on the same day for maths from 3 different teachers. So I think private tuitions does help because, as we would say, teachers in school are just limited to teaching. They will write a sum on the board, make you solve it, and there you go home. There's no learning experience involved. But when you have a private tuition, the teacher is focusing on you as an individual student and making you learn until until then they won't proceed further. And teachers, they tell you that if you don't understand something, we'll repeat twice, thrice, tens of times. But if you ask the teacher the same question a second time, they get mad at you for asking the same question again.
No,
So I think we should have.
that's probably because the revenue per kid in a school to the teacher is far lower than the revenue per kid at private tuition. So those are very economic reasons for that. But if we had to have private tuitions, then why go to school at all? Or let me make it a little more comfortable for you. If we have to go to school, why do we need private tuitions?
Well,
George, I'd like to.
You want
Sure,
to
sure, go
take
ahead.
this question? Or, okay, Anya, we'll give that question
Yeah,
to you. Fair enough.
I would like to take this question.
Please go ahead.
So I wasn't a very good student of the sciences growing up. So in 9 and 10, I decided that I needed proper, rigorous coaching or and I had a pretty exhaustive schedule, which included the weekend of me just going to a tuition center far away from my home. And yet, after the tuition, I would go back to school and I would ask my teacher the same question 4 times. She gave me an answer that made sense. And I was so tired of the rigmarole that this was because it wasn't helping me. My grades weren't improving. I wasn't getting to study on my own. That when I saw my class 10 results and I wasn't very happy with them, I just decided whatever I do in 11 and 12 is going to be from my own study and what they teach me at school. And that actually benefited me. I had zero tuitions in 11 and 12. I got satisfactory grades in all the subjects that I attempted. And for a matter of fact, I do know that students in my batch who didn't take up tuition performed way better than students who actually took up tuition. So if you ask me, the private tutoring debate is, yes, it is a very controversial debate. I'm not denying that it helps some people, but I'm trying to say that it's not exactly the platform where you send an exceptionally weak kid and expect them to become the next genius. It's not going to happen that way. No. Private tuition doesn't do that for you.
Okay, I have about a minute more before I get, I have to close this very interesting session. It's because we've gone way past our times of 5:45. So I'll round off with one question to keep the curiosity and everything else going. And I'll start off with Karan. Karan, if you were told that you could have changed the way a school functions or the school system in India could function, what would be your first step?
Here's what I would love to see changed is firstly the
Only
student.
one.
Yes,
Only one.
correct. So a student is to teacher ratio needs to be changed because there has to be more focus and attention provided to students. We get to see there are 60 students in a class where there's just one teacher. So I think first of all things, this thing needs to be changed.
Student teacher ratio to be changed. Am I right?
Yes, correct.
Okay. Hamdan, what's your take on that? What would you change if you were made to change the system of education in this country?
Well, the first thing that I would change is remove the textbooks and make most of the teaching practical. Because
Remove
that is what,
textbooks.
yes, and make practical teaching.
Fantastic.
When you have
Anya.
practical
Okay,
teaching,
yeah.
when you have practical teaching, that shapes you, prepares you for your future.
Great. I've taken that down. Anya, what would be your first step as somebody if that person could change the education system in India?
I would say I would like to introduce the concept of confidence building and personality development classes or sessions, where through the modes of debate, discussion, public speaking, encouraging the weaker students or the people who are more closeted or introverted to get up and start speaking, to encourage them and to give them a platform to start speaking.
Fantastic. So we've got three very vivid examples of what things could be done. Karan said that we need to improve the teacher-student ratio. Obviously, it's got to go down. More teachers per student rather than having more students per teacher. Hamdan said that you should remove textbooks, let people study. I presume you're saying that there should be a syllabus, but no textbooks. Am I right?
Right.
Right. So there should be something like a syllabus, but no textbooks. And Anya says we should have CBM, confidence building measures for students. Okay. I'm going to call curtains on this particular debate for lack of time. Otherwise, it was going some great guns. But it's been a phenomenal method by which we could sort of ease out so many pointers from three people like you, one who's already finished college, somebody who's trying to be a lawyer, and somebody who's just got into college. I'm sure that we will have another round of very interesting discussions on this with more people, more noise, more debate, but certainly not more disagreements. We shall disagree only to agree. Am I right? Does that sound well for you?
Very right.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for a lovely afternoon and for a lovely evening. I've learned a lot from you guys. All right, and I will look forward to having you again on the Atmanirbhar India series for another round of very, very interesting discussions. Thank you, Ruhail, for everything that you've done for this thing. Till next time, we'll see you. Jai Hind.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.